Hey, it's your guy Tyrrell back with the interviews. A growing concern at Chelsea Football Club this season has been their lack of productivity up front. However, for Maurizio Sarri, Gonzalo Higuain is on his way from AC Milan. How will that affect Chelsea? Will that ensure that they finish in the top four? Don't worry, here at the interviews, we've got you covered. So on this edition of the interviews, we're going to break down how Gonzalo Higuain may or may not fit at Chelsea Football Club. So before we get into today's video, don't forget to give our video a thumbs up if you do enjoy it. The bell below does give you daily notifications regarding our organic, unfiltered soccer/footy analysis. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. In today's video, we're going to look at Gonzalo Higuain's time at Milan and see why it didn't work out for the Argentine. Then take our way to Stamford Bridge, see how Higuain will fit in at this Chelsea club, and determine whether it will work out or not. So first, let's get to Milan, see why it didn't work out for Higuain, and break down what the issues were. So first, let's start with AC Milan. At the start of the season under Gattuso, they played more of a 4-3-3. They had Higuain up front. They had Çalhanoğlu and Suso out in the wider areas. And in the midfield, it was more of Bonaventura, Biglia, and Kessie. The problem here with this Milan side is, one, the lack of service. Higuain plays up front, sometimes against 2 or 3 center backs. And the problem with that is that he doesn't have enough creative supply from this Milan midfield. In the wider areas, Çalhanoğlu likes to cut in. He's not much of incisive passer, not really able to find that final pass. Suso likes to cut in as well, often looking to shoot, and if he's not shooting, what often happens is that he'll try to deliver a cross into the box. That hasn't really worked out for Higuain. So when you have those two wider players, both of them are looking to come in. They're both trying to offer something for themselves, both more of as inverted wingers, and that would obviously inspire the fullbacks to get forward. But Milan never really had much productivity out in the wider areas from Ricardo Rodriguez, from Calabria or Abate, specifically Abate. When they had Rodriguez pushing forward, what he did do well was that he was able to play passes into Higuain from a more direct zone, playing it to him when he drops off a bit deeper. But besides that, Higuain wasn't getting much supply or link-up play from the wide players. In midfield, it gets even worse. Bonaventura, very good at breaking into the box late to offer a goal-scoring threat, which he did do at the start of the season. Kessie also likes to make those runs into the right half space, but still not doing enough from a creative aspect, and Biglia the same thing. So even with throwing in Bakayoko into that midfield when Biglia went down, didn't really help Higuain in that regard. No guile in the midfield, no link-up play, no one able to play that final pass over the top or in behind the defense. So Higuain often, when you saw him at his best at the start of the season, dropping off deeper, pulling in markers, being able to hold off defenders, shifting the ball out into wider areas to get his teammates involved. But for large spells of Milan's play, their buildup was slow. They often didn't have enough time on the ball in terms of when they played top sides and when they played inferior opposition, they were unable to break them down or get passes into Higuain. So that was a big problem. Towards the final few weeks of his Milan career, assuming that he is making that move to Chelsea, we did see Higuain kind of slack off in a regard that when he did drop off deeper, he would pick up the ball and try and run at goal, but his passes into players around the box was sloppy. He wasn't connecting them, so that's a big worry for Chelsea Football Club. But besides that, when you think about Higuain's time at Milan, especially in the first few months, he was doing everything right that you want from a center forward. He was able to score goals around the box when the service was supplied. He was dropping off deeper, linking play, holding off markers, forcing defenders into fouls, but he often didn't really get going until Milan had to either try to chase a point or were looking to get a winner in a game that they probably thought they should have won against inferior opposition. They would move to more of a 4-4-2. They would bring on Cutrone, and this kind of helps them out because now with Cutrone, you have a player that's able to occupy the center backs. Higuain's able to drift out into the channels, drop off deeper, combine with a player around him, and that's what really did help him and see him thrive at Milan. There was one game in particular, I think it was against Roma, where they were able to score in the final minutes of the game, and it was just Higuain playing a reverse ball into Catrone, and you wouldn't get that if they did play a 4-3-3 because whether it be Castillejo, whether it be Suso, whether it be Çalhanoğlu, they wouldn't put themselves into those positions to offer reference points for Higuain to combine with. So that is key. So that is basically the issues that he had at Milan. Just not enough service. The players and the system that they were adopting just didn't work out for him. There was no real combinations, no real support, and he was often just starved, waiting for service that never came. Yes, you could say that his work rate could have been better, specifically following his suspension after that red card against Juve, but when you look at it, it just looked like a lost cause. It wasn't the proper fit. It didn't look like they were playing to get the best out of him, and when you look at the options behind him, it didn't look like they had the personnel capable of doing that. So now let's get to Chelsea. Let's see what Higuain can offer them and how we think he will line up for the Blues. Gonzalo Higuain represents the ideal short-term replacement at Chelsea Football Club. When you look at their striking options right now, Alvaro Morata hasn't cut it. Olivier Giroud just simply doesn't score enough goals. When you look at the path and see strikers that have excelled at Chelsea, Didier Drogba, Diego Costa, Higuain fits that mold. Perhaps not as prolific in terms of ruthless finishing, but he's still a quality striker. The only risk that Chelsea are possibly making here is one, his age, he is 31, and two is the fact that his form over the past few weeks hasn't been good. But you would like to think that under Maurizio Sarri, where he gets to reunite with his manager that possibly saw him excel at his peak at Napoli, reignite his career, and obviously start something special in the Premier League. When we look at it, Chelsea playing a 4-3-3. When you think about Higuain, he's accustomed to the system. He played it for Sarri at Napoli, so you would think that would be an instant switch for him. Obviously, you have to take into the fact that moving to a new country and adapting to it could be an issue, but under Sarri, you'd like to think that he will ease in as quick. When you think at it from a stylistic standpoint, 4-3-3, what's the difference here between Chelsea and Milan? Chelsea have created enough chances this season, but they've lacked someone in the box that's been able to finish the job. Morata just hasn't been cutting it, gets a lot of quality chances, hasn't been able to finish them, and lacks the body strength that Higuain has. Giroud can play with his back to goal, probably one of the better strikers in the league playing with his back to goal, but just doesn't score enough goals. Higuain ticks both boxes here, and when you think about it, when he's playing as a center forward and you have the Chelsea options up front, he obviously has Jorginho, who could play balls over the top, who can push forward and offer that threat in behind when he does get the opportunities in transition. The one thing about Chelsea is that in their 4-3-3, they also lack a linking player that could push forward, that can combine with him, that could find that final pass. No real natural number 10, and that could be an inflicting issue for them going forward. But what they like to do is they like to have Azpilicueta sit a bit deeper. Marcos Alonso pushes forward at will, and a lot of teams will focus on pressing Jorginho, but they allow Luis and they allow Rudiger to step forward. With that being said, Higuain will have to time his runs because he will have the opportunity to get balls in behind and get balls into the channels. We saw this at Milan towards the final weeks, especially where they had Ricardo Rodriguez, they had Romagnoli like to ping ball straight into him, where he's able to hold it up and link play with his teammates. So that could help them, the midfield, get on the ball, and that could allow runners as like Willian, Pedro, or Eden Hazard to break in, and that's a great combination play. So that's one route that they can go about it when you think about it. The other aspect is that he does have players that will now look to play with him in these tight spaces and allow him to combine and break him behind. You know, Pedro likes to cut in and he likes to make runs in behind. William, the same thing. It's more so if he's playing on the left. If he's playing on the right, he'll like to obviously push to the byline and deliver crosses into the box. But the main thing here with Chelsea is how do they get the best out of Eden Hazard, and this is where that comes into play, because Higuain will obviously look to occupy center forwards. Hazard has spent a lot of time this season drifting off the left, looking to find the ball in between the lines, and with Hazard, that does force other opponents to obviously get one or two players around him. That frees up space for Higuain. He'll obviously look to play that ball into him and hope that it sticks. He hasn't been able to do that with Morata. Morata doesn't have the body strength to hold off defenders after being pushed aside. And the thing about Giroud is that he doesn't have that pace to obviously, when he links play with him, to get the return ball as well. And he lacks the ruthless finishing that you could say Higuain does possess when he's on his game. So with that being said, you'll often see balls into Higuain where he has to to hold it up, and then you could have the combination left or right, and that works out for him. The other aspect is that he's going to get service, like I said, from long. We know Azpilicueta is renowned for playing those diagonals into that space there, and then from the wider areas, Hazard and Alonso combine very well. Down the right-hand side, like I said, Willian, if he plays there, can deliver crosses. Pedro likes to cut in and combine with the center forward, then break him behind. So when you break it down, although teams can look and try to shut down Jorginho, who also does offer a threat from deeper positions, Chelsea have avenues in certain areas where they can provide Higuain with the service to get the job done. And you have to think that, yes, sometimes their possession play has been slow this season. Yes, they don't have players that could find space between the lines to really threaten. Kovacic has struggled to really get his Chelsea career going, but he also offers a threat because he likes to dribble forward and combine and play wall passes with the center forward. So that could be key. And when you think about it, they don't really have that link player. So it's heavily relying on Hazard. But now with someone who could occupy that space, who can provide a penalty box presence to hold off defenders and attack aerial balls, that does offer another element to Chelsea's attack. And that will benefit Eden Hazard going forward, who they're looking to keep at the club for the foreseeable future. And down the right-hand side, Willian's crosses, Pedro's crosses, or his willingness to cut in central and combine with the center forward will all play into the fact. And when you think about it, Marcos Alonso's crossing from the left is devastating, especially towards the near post. So that could be a threat. And the creativity from the other remaining defenders in Azpilicueta and the two center backs. When you think about it, yes, Chelsea do look like they're getting an upgrade from the option that they do have up front, but it does depend on Higuain. Like we said, this season towards the end of December, when he came back, he hasn't been really great, just not offering key passes to his teammates, not having the ball stick to his feet, squandering chances. So if Sarri could get him right and have him playing at least to some element of the form that we did see at Napoli, this will be an upgrade for them, and it should help them finish into the top four, but it does present some issues and some questioning. 31, it's a big risk that Chelsea Football Club are taking on Sarri to get his guy to his form, and 3, his ability to adapt and easily and quickly transition into life in the Premier League. If he could do that, then when you think about it from a stylistic aspect, yes, Chelsea are limited in midfield to a certain degree, lacking a key player in there that could really find that final ball and offer that guile. But besides that, they have the creativity in the wide areas that Milan doesn't possess. They have the players that could dictate play from deeper when Jorginho's marked out of the game, and they have Eden Hazard, who likes to link play with center forwards and drag defenders out of positions that should create space for both of those players. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think Higuain will be a hit at Chelsea? Do you think he'll flop? If so, why or why not? Meet me in the comments below. Don't forget to upload videos every day, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And that was your daily dose of the interviews.